Welcome to Inside PTI. Weekly videos designed to get you the trial results you want, agronomy explanations you need, and insights that will set you up for success this season. Today we're going to talk about the worst agronomic practices that we saw in 2019 at the PTI farm. Again, it's one of the popular questions I get from growers, what worked, what didn't work. And so this video, I thought we'd talk about the things that we failed at. And as farmers, we're going to fail at certain things. Things aren't going to work out like we planned all the time. And so I'm just going to go through on a dollar per acre basis what was our biggest mistakes in 2019. And so here's my top 10 list, if you will. Again, ranking it by dollars per acre. And number one on the list, and I'm going to go through these fairly quickly, and let me talk about this for a minute. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on each one. If you have questions about each of these studies or these results, I want you to go to your Precision Planting Premier dealer. Talk to them about more information, or you can email us at InsidePTI@precisionplanting.com. So let's go to the list. Number one, the biggest mistake we had in 2019 was pushing planting dates. We were super wet in 2019, and we were trying to plant by the calendar, and when we did this, it crushed us. We pushed it, we planted in mud basically, and we lost nearly $250 an acre. It was the worst case scenario, but growers across the Midwest did this because a lot of corn got planted late in the season, like June, so we tried to push it and we failed. Okay. Number two kind of goes with number one here a little bit. It's saturated cold germ test. Some corn hybrids that we plant, it happens every single year. Okay. Last year we had some hybrids that just didn't like to be planted in cold and wet conditions. And so we send the seed off to a lab, we test it. We get a saturated cold germ result back, and it tells us which corns need to be planted first versus which ones maybe we need to wait on and plant them later when it's warmer and potentially not as wet. So that one came in over $200 to the acre. That was a big one. Number three, this is where it comes to settings on the planter. And this is what we're always worried about every year, that grower getting the right downforce, the right singulation, and then setting residue managers correctly with CleanSweep. We do a study every year, we call it the all wrong study, where we have the wrong downforce. We have singulation that's incorrect, and we set our residue managers wrong, all three at the same time. And this was one that really hurt us in the planting conditions that we planted in 2019. Number four goes to just the absence of residue managers. In some situations at PTI, we were way too cloddy. We needed CleanSweep to come in and be aggressive and wipe those clods away. But that one actually almost $95 to the acre just with something like setting a residue manager correctly. It added up big. Number five, shallow planting into dry soil in corn. This was one that, it kind of comes back to that cloddy situation. If you got a planter riding on top of those clods and can't get deep enough with planting depth to get into moisture, you're going to struggle if you don't get a rain to supply that moisture to you. And so planting into dry soil, almost $80 to the acre. So again, that was a big one for us. Number six, this is one we've been working on quite a bit, and I guess I've been struggling on it, but it's narrow rows. 20-inch row corn. I love 20-inch row soybeans. I think they do very well for us at the PTI farm, but we're trying to find corn pedigrees, germplasm of corn that likes narrow rows at different populations. But I'll be very honest with you, my 20-inch rows struggled in 2019, and we were losing just under $80 to the acre. So we're going to continue more work on this. I'm not saying that no one should be planting 20-inch rows. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that in 2019, with the hybrids we tested, it did not work very well. Number seven comes back to downforce on the planter, just getting the improper downforce, having the weight of that planter row unit to keep that planter in the ground to get the depth that you want. That amounted to $77 of the acre when we did it wrong. So that one can add up very quickly. Number 8 on our list comes back to nitrogen. On every top 10 or bottom 10 list we do, nitrogen usually is on here, but all of our nitrogen in one shot. Again, with the wet season we had, putting all of our nitrogen up front, costing us over $50 of the acre. So I don't really recommend a one and done nitrogen program, and this is one of the reasons why. Number 9 comes the singulation on the planter. You know, every single spring we're looking at that 20/20 when we're planting. We want that perfect singulation, that picket fence stand. When we don't get that, we're losing over $45 of the acre, and showed up as our number 9 mistake in 2019. To round off the list at number 10, finally, improper closing. And this has been something we've been talking about a long time, that last part about a planter, closing the trench properly. Remember, a closing system has 2 jobs that it needs to do, just 2. It needs to lift and fracture that true V that we create with the openers, blow out that sidewall compaction, and then get rid of the air pocket. Those are the 2 things a closing system needs to do for us. If it doesn't do it, we can see losses like this, and it ended up being in our top 10. So today's Inside PTI agronomy tip of the day is, you know, it's my opinion that challenging the status quo is important for every grower. Today we talked about different agronomic practices that lost us almost $250 an acre. These losses prove that farming can be difficult and at times can be expensive when we make mistakes. That's why it's always important to try experimenting and doing some agronomic practices that are different than your normal management style. If we learn from our mistakes, it will make us better farmers. For more information or questions, feel free to reach out to any Precision Planting Premier dealer, or you can email us at InsidePTI@precisionplanting.com. We'll see you on the next episode of Inside PTI. In the meantime, thanks so much for watching.